The desert highway shimmered under the mid-morning sun as Grace Lane gripped the steering wheel of her rented silver Dodge Charger. The Arizona heat pulsed through the windshield. Her GPS chirped directions from the dashboard, but she barely registered them. Her thoughts were elsewhere, on the dusty miles behind her, on the funeral she'd just left in Phoenix, and on the growing ache in her chest. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. Don't ever forget who you are, Grace. Life is short, but the road is long. Now her mother was gone. A stroke had taken her quickly, cruelly, and Grace had arrived too late, 2 hours late. The guilt bit hard. She glanced at the rearview mirror. The road behind her was flat and empty. Then she saw him. A man stood by the roadside about a quarter-mile behind. Tall, thin, wearing a black suit that looked dusty and dated. He held one arm out in a hitchhiking gesture, thumb straight up. His skin looked pale, almost gray, and his face, she couldn't make it out. Just a blurred impression like a overexposed photo. She blinked. He was gone. Grace rubbed her eyes and turned up the air conditioning. 30 miles passed before she saw him again. This time, he was standing beside a dead saguaro cactus. The same dusty suit, the same stillness. No car in sight. He didn't wave, didn't move. Just stood there watching her car approach. Her foot instinctively pressed harder on the gas. When she looked in the mirror, again, he was gone. She laughed nervously. Jesus, Grace, it's just a trick of the heat, she muttered. Still, she flipped on the radio, desperate for any noise. A twangy country station crackled into existence, and she let it play. 15 minutes later, she pulled into a tiny gas station in a town called Dustmore. The heat dropped slightly as she stepped into the shade of the awning. The station was run down but functional. An old man sat behind the counter, reading a newspaper that looked a week old. Grace grabbed a soda from the cooler. Paid on impulse, asked, "You seen anyone hitchhiking on the highway lately?" The man looked up. His eyes were cloudy, pale blue like faded denim. "You seen him too?" he asked, voice low. Grace's stomach sank. "Excuse me?" Tall fella, gray skin, stares too long. Seen him a time or two. Always vanishing. Always reappearing. Mostly after someone's died. Grace froze. "What do you mean?" The man shrugged. "You'll figure it out." Back on the road, Grace tried calling her fiancé Jeremy in San Diego. No signal. Of course not. She drove on, heart thudding, chewing her lip. Half an hour later, her phone rang. Relief washed over her, but the caller ID said unknown. She hesitated, then answered. Static, then a voice, hollow and quiet. "Why did you leave me?" Her breath caught. "Mom?" Silence. Then the call dropped. Grace stared at the phone like it was a bomb. She hit redial. No ring. Just dead silence. By late afternoon, she reached a weather-beaten roadside motel called the Sunset Wayfarer. Needing rest, She checked in. The front desk clerk was a young woman with hollow eyes and chipped black nail polish. Her name tag said Andrea. "Long drive?" Andrea asked as she handed over the key. "Longer than it should be." As Grace turned to leave, Andrea added, "Don't talk to him." Grace froze. "What?" "The man you've been seeing. Pale one. He's not what you think." Grace spun around. "Have you been following me?" Andrea just shook her head. "He follows everyone eventually." That night, Grace dreamed of her childhood home. Her mother sitting in her favorite chair, stroking a white cat that was never there in real life. The pale man stood behind her mother, unmoving, expressionless. When Grace woke up, her room was freezing. The AC was off. The next morning, Grace resumed her drive. The landscape rolled by. Messes, tumbleweeds, long shadows creeping in as the clouds gathered. It felt like the world was shrinking around her. Then, again, she saw him. This time, he was walking. She passed him slowly, and for the first time got a good look at his face. It wasn't ugly or angry, just empty, like someone who had forgotten how to be human. No malice, no warmth, just inevitability. She screamed. Slamming the brakes, she skidded to the side of the road, breathing hard. She got out of the car, spun around. He wasn't there, just the wind. She heard footsteps behind her. Turning fast, nothing. Then her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered. "Who is this?" "You're not supposed to be here," the voice said. It wasn't her mother's this time. It was herself, but distorted. "You didn't survive the crash." "What crash?" "You'll remember soon." Click. She sat in the car for a long time, shaking. Then it hit her. The accident. Outside Flagstaff 2 days ago. She dozed off. There was a truck. The impact, the crunch of metal. Then, but hadn't she walked away? Hadn't she? She touched her arm. No bruises, no cuts, no blood. She opened the glove compartment. Her insurance papers were gone. The registration blank. She checked the mirror again, and there he was. Not behind her, beside her, in the passenger seat. She screamed and veered off the road. The car spun through sand and brush, finally stopping in a cloud of dust. When it settled, the seat beside her was empty. Grace got out and fell to her knees. It couldn't be true. She was alive, wasn't she? Then she saw a sign half buried in the sand. It was twisted, cracked. In memory of Grace Lane, 1992 to 2025. She gasped. Behind her, footsteps approached, slow and steady. She didn't need to turn to know who it was. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. The pale man's voice was soft, like dust in the wind. "Only to walk with you. You've been running. It's time." "I'm not ready." "No one ever is." He offered his hand. She stared at it, and slowly she took it. Back at the Sunfeather Motel, Andrea watched as a new guest arrived. A man in a gray suit, middle-aged, distracted. He checked in without much talk. Andrea handed him the key and said, "If you see someone by the road, don't pick them up." The man blinked. "What?" Andrea smiled. They'll find you anyway. She watched the man go to his room, then lit a cigarette and stared out at the highway. The road stretched on, endless and shimmering, under a sky that never forgot.
If you enjoyed the video, like and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.